I don't know if y'all have heard Passion by LL Cool J produced by Q-Tip yet, but yo.
That's my Jawn!
Hey, yo, displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. You're tasting things that don't need to be measured.
What's good, friends and family, neighbors near and far? Welcome to an all-new episode of the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast. The podcast, website, brand, movement, way of life dedicated to the embrace and championing of your passions. I'm your host, Nate Runkle, a.k.a. Into the Nate Wide Open, a.k.a. Nate 3.0, back at it again with yet another episode of the podcast. As always, I hope this podcast finds you all in good health and in good spirits. On today's episode, I finally get a chance to sit down and chat with my pal, Shug Daniels. I absolutely love Shug's music, and I've been wanting to pick her brain forever, so I am so excited to share with you our conversation today. We cover a lot of ground, her music, the Black Opry Review, Sweet Juice Fest, and so much more, and all of that is coming up in a minute here. But first, how about a quick check-in? How are you guys doing? Surviving the heat, I hope. My goodness, is it hot out there? Chalk it up to like old age or whatever, but it is whooping my butt. I am not going to lie. You know, I DJ'd an outdoor party on Saturday, and I feel like I now know what it must feel like to spin a set on the sun. It was hot, y'all. But thanks to copious amounts of water, I survived. Which, small side note here, who invented those, like, tiny quarter bottles of water? Who is that for? That's, like, pure silliness, I say. But, yeah, we're cooking through the summer fast. We're halfway through July already and showing no signs of slowing down. So, from a scheduling standpoint, let me just say that we might be taking a small break here just so I can get caught up on some life stuff. Very small. The other shows will still be popping, Too Old, Too New every week, and Oops All Bard's still going strong. We got a barbecue dropping this Thursday, FYI, so the content will continue to flow. Maybe I'll drop a feed takeover on here or, share a sample of some of the other shows. I don't know. I'm literally just thinking out loud here and working it out as I go along. I'll decide something. Leave me alone. I don't know. Of course, the best way to stay on top of these things and to get all of the updates and what have you is to follow us on the socials at Yo That's My Jawn and or sign up for the mailing list. You can do that by visiting www.yothat'smyjawn.com. There's a link there to the mailing list, to merchandise, links to previous episodes of the show, guest appearances on other shows, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. If you've been with us, you know all this by now. I don't know, but maybe you're a newbie. And if you are, welcome. Relax. Take a load off. Let my voice dance around in your head stuffs, and I hope you enjoy it all. And if you want to help a homie out, you can rate, review, subscribe, like, share, name your firstborn after me, etc., etc. I think that's all the stuff that podcasters are contractually obligated to say, lest be kicked out of the Podcasters Guild. The Podcasters Guild. We're like the Freemasons, if the Freemasons had to do ad reads for Stamps.com and SimpliSafe. Now, what am I doing? All right, I'm rambling. Let's start the show. My guest today is a Delaware-born, Philly-based singer-songwriter whose music thoughtfully combines elements of folk, rock, and soul alternatives to create personal and tender music interlaced with a message of truth and positive change. Her latest single, Leave a Light On, is a wonderful toe-tapping bop that will absolutely leave a smile on your face. This Thursday, July 18th, she will be performing her first headlining show at Johnny Brenda's at 8 p.m. Folks, it is my honor to welcome to the show, Shug Daniels. Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined today by the great Shug Daniels. Shug, thank you for joining me on Yo, That's My Jawn.
Thank you for having me. Anytime I get to chat about music in the beautiful city of Philadelphia, I always take that opportunity. So appreciate you, baby.
Hell yeah. I am super excited to do this because I told you this when we were both on Phil's show, your next favorite band. You're one of my single favorite Philly musicians, period. I have a sense of pride whenever I see you succeeding. And I didn't want to tell you the other artists who are in this, but I'm going to tell you now because we're on my show, and I'll have all these spoilers all I want. It's you, it's the Tisberries, and it's Catbite. Like the three of you guys. Whenever I see you guys succeeding, I just like it hits me right in the heart. But so thank you so much for doing this. I'm so glad
My pleasure, man. That's a good lineup to be on. That's a really good lineup to be on.
Right, I like it. The other thing I always like to tell people a little bit of connection. You were one of the very first people who came running up to me at my very first Inside Hustle when we finally got to meet in person, and that will also always stay in my heart because it put a big, huge smile on my face, and it kicked off a brilliant. I love those events, but a beautiful day.
It is. It's so fun because events like that, especially if you're really trying to do your thing, you have a bunch of internet friends and you almost forget that you haven't met everybody in real life, in IRL. So that event was really fun for me because it was a bunch of people I got to meet face to face for the first time. And we're all kind of like, in the same, ethos of making music and spreading awareness about like, just what people are doing. The DIY scene is fun. So yeah,
it's awesome. The other favorite thing that happened that day was Sarah Parker, Radio Sarah from WMMR was there, and I went in to say hi, and she was like, "Yo, that's my Jawn." She's like, "I follow you. You're awesome." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." She was like, "Can I just ask you a question though?" And I was like, "What's that?" And she goes, "What exactly do you do?" And and I was like, "Oh, it's a podcast and website and all this." And she was like, "Oh, I thought you were just funny on the internet." And I was like, Can I do that? Because I'll take that.
I mean, you are funny on the internet, though. You're a man of many talents.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. So I always like to kick things off in the Wayback Machine. Tell everybody a little bit about where you grew up.
What's going on, guys? I am Shook Daniels. I'm originally from Delaware. Just a hop and a bop down the street from the beautiful city of Philadelphia. I'm from Southern Delaware, and although that may not sound like a big deal, if you're from Delaware, they'll understand. There's really two little spots in Delaware. It's above the canal, or you live below the canal, and they feel like two completely different countries, let alone states. I love the whole bit, and I've lived all over the place. But I grew up, cornfields, a lot of forest. The boys used to ride John Deere tractors to school. Like that's where I'm coming from growing up as a kid. My mom would sing in church a lot and had us all, me and my brother, singing in church and stuff like that. And I feel like sometimes artists have like a moment where they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a professional musician. I never had that. Like I grew up singing in church. My mother is a phenomenal singer. It just was like, like some people's fathers own a bakery and they're like, I guess that's the business. This is the family business for me. So I was born to do it. I absolutely adore it. I barely get by as far as money wise. But it just fills me with joy to bring people in a room and sing songs where they can feel themselves. They can see themselves in it. I love that when I go to music. So it's one of my favorite things to do for other humans.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, have you guys done any family recordings? Like, have you brought the fam onto any of your songs yet?
Well, so the crazy thing is, I was a rapper for like 10 years, and I was in this group called Flow City, and it was me and like two of my cousins, and we started when we were pretty young. We started in like probably like my second to last year of high school is when I got really serious about it. And we had a teacher at the time in the school who was like a science teacher, my younger cousin's science teacher. He had done some stuff in music. So he was like, you guys are pretty good. I'd love to manage you. And our parents were like, I guess, Suge's not going to college. So might as well, she better get into something quick. So there is some music you can look up under Flow City. That's FLOWCITY. And then, so we got that going on. I would love to actually have my mom on a track for some Shook Daniel stuff. But after probably about 10 years of doing that, I just got a little burnt out in the rap scene. I was feeling very disconnected from the audience. The type of music that we were making, I feel like the rap game doesn't have to be, but where my group fit in, it was just very it felt to me very egotistical, kind of like party, sipping smoke and doing all this thing. And then I was getting older. I was the oldest person in the group. I was in a serious relationship. I a housekeeper at a college. I just was like, I don't know nothing about no kind of flashy life. And I wanted to, but the desire for music was still there. So I started making music with a buddy of mine named Fats. And we formed this group called Hoochie Coochie. And Hoochie Coochie was like Southern Delaware blues, rock, Americana, soul. It was really fun. It was just the two of us for most of the first year. And then we had Spencer Green join us on piano, and then our friend Chelsea Grant join us on drums. And then we played around like that for probably about 4 or 5 years. And then the pandemic hit. And that was really fun. I had a good time playing in that band, but I didn't play any instruments. And when the pandemic hit, and I really, once again, the desire to create music had never left. My roommate at the time, Erin Silver from the band Eyeball, had a ukulele in her room. And she was like, you should just play it. It's got 4 strings. Like, just, do whatever with it. So I started playing the ukulele just to like kind of get some ideas and some thoughts. And like, we were going through, this whole big change in the world. And I don't know, I felt like I was kind of plateauing anyway. And it kind of like hit at a time, and it just made me like look at my life in a different way. And the ukulele just happened to be there. So I started writing that music, started recording and putting it out. And then, when you got a good thing, you got a good thing. People really started liking that stuff, and that project picked up really well. And, I was able to quit my job in October, my day job in October. So I've been doing it full time since then. So great.
It's incredible. Like watching the post-pandemic growth, like, has been like, once you put your foot on the pedal, man, you have not let up. And it's super inspiring to watch.
Thank you. I try. It's the balance of trying to not take it so serious and keep it fun while also like minding my P's and Q's. Because especially after meeting the Black Opry, I really kind of shot off into the stratosphere and got in front of a lot of people. Still to this day, the Black Opry has me performing in front of people. I'm like, what the heck, Holly? Like, she'll kind of text my phone and be like, I got you coming, here or there, wherever. She brought me down to Las Vegas. I can't remember if it was last. It was a week before last. Ended up sitting on a panel and meeting like Lady Gaga's manager and like all these people who like do all these bookings. So I never know where I'm going to end up, but I just keep trying to keep it fun. You just keep it fun, like have a good time with it. And I think the best stuff comes from that.
Yeah. I'm going to jump all over the place because I have ADD. So just see if you can follow a thread. But back to the hip hop stuff. At any point, did you try spitting over the ukulele and doing any kind of hybrid like that?
Yes. So I haven't gotten it down packed. I feel like it would be such a waste of a kind of skill that I have. And I do still like rap. And I think that stuff, especially for live shows, people get so excited. So I have an idea, maybe for the album, but definitely for some live shows to try to continue like incorporating that stuff, especially because my band is so good. Like all the guys that I play with are so diverse, and they're always like trying to do new, weird, fun, cool stuff, especially for live shows. Because, that's my jam. That's my Jawn right there, is the live performance. I love writing. I love, well, I don't even want to say I love recording. That is definitely like a labor of love for sure. But performing and getting to hang out with people, that's my Jawn right there. So
one of the things, I think it was either shortly after the pandemic or maybe like the tail end of the pandemic. When did the Jill Scott video thing happen? Because I think that was when you first popped up on my radar.
Yeah, so it's funny you even say that. Today is the 2-year anniversary for that.
No way.
That song has been out for 2 years today. I recorded that with my buddy Sam Nobles. He was another Delaware cat. He was in a big band, and I was like such a big fan. And then he moved up to Philadelphia. And then when I got to Philadelphia, that's when we really got close. But we recorded that together. That came out 2 years ago. It was a part of the I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. It's the WXPN and WRTI Black Philly Music. That's what it was. So they do this really cool project where they like give out grant money, or they award grant money to Black musicians and Black creators and Black artists in the city, in and around the city, for projects that highlight other like Black musicians. So with this one, I was like, oh, no brainer. I grew up listening to a lot of like neo soul and Jill Scott and the Roots, and I had no idea that music was coming from Philadelphia. I feel like when you're younger, you're just consuming what feels good and what you can relate to. And, that whole scene just was so fun and so cool and so awesome to me. And as I got older, and I was like, oh, snap, they're right there. They're so close to where I'm from. So that was really cool and inspiring. So when I signed up for the, because you got to sign up and you have to be like selected and stuff. I was like, I'm doing Jill Scott because she's the bomb. Like, I don't even know who else or what else I would do. But yeah, that came out that way. And it started an awesome collaborative relationship with my buddy Sam Nobles. We've recorded and made a bunch of music since then. So
it's killer. Did you ever hear anything from her? Did it ever make its way in front of her?
I don't think so. If it did, she must not have been impressed, but that's okay. That's all right.
Well, we'll make it happen if it didn't happen, because it's incredible.
I love Miss Jilly from Philly, man.
Yes, that whole Soulquarian neo soul scene, I think, is like one of the, like, if it's one of those things where, like, if you know, but like it's one of the most cool explosive things that happened in music in my lifetime, hands down. And like to know, like I used to go to the 5 Spot, and like it was like the coolest thing in the world. Like it was like I was like let in on this giant secret where like the best music in the world was being created. And then it all went away.
Yeah. It's like that.
Yeah.
I feel like nothing lasts forever, and the older I get, the more I realize that you really just got to appreciate things when you got them right there in front of you, because any minute somebody's going to come with a bunch of money and it's going to blow up the spot.
Yeah. And then they're all gone.
Yeah. And they're all gone.
Well, it's like, I don't know if you heard, Bilal just released this live album, live at Glass House. And it totally made me like go back and revisit all of Bilal's stuff, because I'm just like, here's a dude who should have been a giant. An absolute giant, because he just has the voice and the songs, and yet again, little hidden Philly secret almost, like,
yeah.
It's wild.
It's crazy. It's really wild.
So pandemic puts you in the ukulele path. Like, did it come easily? Like, what did you have any kind of? You said you didn't play any instruments before, but was there anything in there, like even just fooling around before that, or?
Yeah, I fooled around a little bit. I feel like bass has always been really fun, but I never like played a bass in a band or did anything like. I never even really like took stuff to my band. It just was an exercise that I used to like to do. But yeah, the ukulele I didn't start looking up chords. I kind of just, I guess what instrumentalists would call like play by ear. I would play something, and if it sounded good, I was like, that's a song, sounds like a song, doesn't sound bad. Which I think is not a horrible way to approach music, because I play with a lot of guys who have been to music school, and they a lot of times will compliment me on the weird stuff that I'm doing. And sometimes I think that when you're trained to think a certain way about a certain thing, it can take the magic out of it. Not always, and not for everybody. And there definitely is something to be said about being able to communicate in the language of music. But I don't think that it is necessary to create art.
Yeah. For sure. Like I've written songs since I was a kid, and like I was just talking to somebody recently about this, that I've been revisiting a lot of some of the early stuff that I wrote, which lyrically is incredibly embarrassing, but like musically, like I was saying, like I made choices that I would never make today, because I'm just like, you don't do that, but but it sounds awesome, and like and it's crazy, like that you kind of almost grow out of it, like once you start to learn too much, you can't capture those chaotic kind of changes.
Oh my God, yes. And especially having the time on your hands, like that's a really big deal for me right now, is to create more of a time and space in my life to just like fool around and not think I'm going to sit down and write a song, but just to get on an instrument. Because when I first started playing ukulele, I was writing songs like that because the instrument was new and it was a pandemic. I had all this time. I was just like, whatever. And the same as when I was a kid, I still have a lot of my like little rap books and my song books from when I was young, and they just came all the time because I just had the time to stare off into space and think, what do I want to write a song about? Like, what do I want to play around with?
Yeah. Like time is a big thing. And like, I think that's like one of the scary benefits of the pandemic, is just that people had the time to like kind of try something new. It's where this podcast came from. Like I had done a podcast years, like a long time ago, in the early days. But like, I would, if everybody wasn't home and on Zoom, there's no way this would have come about, like, so like these little beautiful things that kind of came out of out of that chaotic period. You said you were writing a lot. Like how many songs do you think you stacked up during that lockdown?
Oh my God. I mean, I put out an EP. It was just like a little 4-song EP, but I think the first year I started gigging pretty quick. Like as soon as I could do like Zoom concerts and people were gathering outside, I was like, I will freaking sing, because that part, the performance part, is so important for me. Like I feel like sometimes when I sit and I get a song, a lot of times my songs come really quickly. And I always said, and I don't, it might be kind of hocus pocus woo woo to some people, but I feel like it's like it's channeling through me. It doesn't feel like a labor. It just feels like, oh, there it is. Like I know when a thing is the right thing, and I know I'm like, that's not it. It feels like discovering something. So I feel like, I don't know, I probably wrote the album that I'm writing right now, that I'm recording right now. Most of those songs came from that first year of just having time on my hands and being like, that sounds good. That's a song.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you remember that first show you played out, like playing on the Zoom and stuff like that? A little different, but like that first playing out show where you're actually now using an instrument instead of just being on stage singing and using your voice, which also an instrument. Don't let me downplay it.
For sure.
But what was that like? Because you were in a band and now you're out there by yourself essentially. How did that go?
It was wild. It was like in a garden. It was in a community garden that I had spent a lot of time with my friend Rob at. And so it was a bunch of mostly people I knew. And it just was really, really beautiful. But it was also really scary. Also, it was winter. It was like getting kind of like moving from fall to winter. So also like my hands were cold, which was something I hadn't really thought about before and stuff like that. But I don't really get nervous. I feel like I get more excited than anything, just because I've been doing it for so long. So I was really excited, and it just felt right. To this day, I love playing with my band, but like this tour that I'm doing this weekend and it's solo. I play solo a lot. I don't mind it at all. I really don't mind it.
Yeah. How did was it through the what was it, the XPN thing? Was that how you got on Holly G's radar? Like how did the Black Opry invite come through?
The Black Opry invite came through. They found me on Twitter, actually. It was, and I feel like WXPN had played me once or twice. They had played me when the EP first dropped, but it was like John Batiste at nighttime, and they're all in Nashville. There's no way they had made that connection. Also, it was the first year that the Black Opry had formed. So Holly hit me up on Twitter, and I didn't even think it was like a real thing. I was like, what the heck is this? Because especially I had already been doing blues and Americana before, and I would play to predominantly like white crowds, and usually I'd be the only Black person or person of color on the whole lineup. And listen, I love music. I'm going to play it for whoever wants to listen to. So that's never necessarily been an issue or a problem. But when I had seen that there was an organization that was getting people like me together, I was like, okay, that looks pretty cool. So she had messaged me. It was a city winery gig. And I had just moved from Delaware to Philadelphia, for my music career. I was very excited. And, that's a pretty good gig. They're going to feed you. There's going to be wine. Hey, let's go. It's a nice room. I didn't even know we were playing downstairs. I ended up having like an NPR, like meeting before, like they had we'd done like a live session, and then meeting everybody, just walking into the room, it was like walking into like a superhero academy. There's all these like beautiful brown people and, all these different shades, and everybody has like their thing that they're really, really good at. And it just was like so overwhelming, but like in the best way possible. But yeah, I just used the hashtag, like, I don't even know, probably like Black acoustic or Black people playing acoustic, or just, I don't know. But I will say, I tell a lot of young artists, like, hashtags are not, that's still a very much relevant thing. And the algorithms push a lot of those hashtags to people who like that particular thing. So I still tell people to use them, because that's how they found me. And Black Opry is hands down one of the best things that happened to me in my music career.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a special thing. And I'm so incredibly happy that it is shining a light on something that like needs the exposure, you know. Like I was interviewed for a documentary about Americana, and it was like talking about like what Americana means to me, and I said, like, you know, for too long Americana almost became like cosplay to me. Like it was like, you know, like nerdy white guys probably had a beard, probably have glasses, probably
with the little mustache that
with
did the little thing.
yeah, exactly. You know, they definitely have a fiddle player, they definitely have a banjo player, and they dress like it's the Dust Bowl, and like that stuff's fine. Like there's stuff that came out of that that's fantastic, and I'm not trying to downplay it, but like that wasn't Americana to me. It's like play pretend. Whereas like when Black Opry starts, and like, you know, all these other voices, you know, and you start getting queer voices in Americana, and you start getting like just this wide disparate of what America is, and that's Americana to me. And like anything that kind of shines a spotlight on other voices that are not being heard is just so important to me. It's kind of, I mean, like I'm not doing anything crazy here, but like it's what I like to do. I like to call attention to things that people just aren't focused on, or might not even know about. It might not even be that they don't want to hear it. It might just be they don't know it exists.
I think that's the bigger thing too. And because we have so many people that come to Black Opry, and we love to ask, like, who has anyone ever been here? And for so many people, it is a brand new thing that they just heard from a friend that is something you should check out, and they love it. Every show is that I've been a part of anyway is just like absolutely killer. And because people, I feel like, are more desperate now for things that feel more authentic, because we can feel especially with AI coming, we want to feel like the thing that we're consuming was made by somebody who has a soul and they're telling a story, and it's just vulnerable, it's beautiful, it's juicy, it's like that is Americana. That is Americana.
For
and I
sure.
like that. I mean, I've always loved that genre because I feel like it's always been very open for interpretation for anybody who really likes it and enjoys it.
Yeah. You know, I saw maybe a few months ago Lizzie No speak about this. Do you get any of the frustrating questions when interviewed and stuff, like, well, how come you do this music? Like anything like that? Because that always surprises me that that's even a question that someone would even, like, people make music that they want to fucking make, dude. Like it's so weird.
I think when people ask me that question, I feel like it's, and I don't mean to take it like make it heavy, but I feel like it's underlying racism. Like it's underlying.
Sure.
You feel like I can't make something because of the color of my skin. That's kind of racist. Like,
yeah.
I'm just as much American as anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like my parents are from here. My grandparents are from here. So to say that I can't make, and even if I wasn't, if you think about what the quote unquote American dream is, it is to come here and to make a life, you know, working with your hands, and to, you know, to be able to survive, and not even just to survive, but to thrive. So like, I did get a lot of questions about Beyonce. I feel like for me, I was like, whatever. But when people started asking me questions about if Beyonce should make a country album, I was like, y'all, she's from the South.
Yeah.
Like, and she's a Black woman. So I feel like you, don't really know American music history, because if you did, you would know that most music genres stem from African Americans, not even just Black people, but African Americans. So it just goes to show that ignorance is still rampant, even in the media, especially in the media. I don't know what I'm talking about, even, yeah. Well, you know what? And I don't want to give any journalists a pass, but you know what I think the other thing is that I think people are hung up on, and it's still birthed in racism, but it's the racism of the majority of the audience, which is, you know what I mean? Ooh, that's a big deal. That's such a big deal.
Yeah. And like, so like, you know, when like that was one of the things that excited me about Beyonce's album was, you know, there's that holdover from when Old Town Road blew up, and like it wasn't charting on country charts because they just wouldn't list it, right? And so like when Beyonce announced that album, I was like, here is your test, because you're not going to be able to deny it. You're not going to be able to mask it and say, well, it's actually a hip hop song, because it's straight up country. And so like it was really exciting, and like I still don't think the conversation was had. It was just like, sure, we'll play this. You know what I mean? Like, but they did, but nobody wanted to have the discussion of well, we made a change now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy stuff. But I love it. I love it because it makes people, they're forced to have that conversation. They are forced to have that conversation. Like, well, why isn't this? Because you got Jelly Roll, and all these different country musicians, and they're phenomenal musicians, but they're rapping on their tracks, and it's like, okay, on one sense, y'all like this hippity hop, these people doing all this stuff, but then you got people rapping on these country music tracks, and you have no problem with it. That isn't a problem with the music. That's a problem with the audience.
That's right. That's
That's
exactly
a problem
right.
with the audience.
It's so weird. Like it all perplexes me. And like, I'm one of those foolish people who for a very long time thought things were getting better. And then 2016 happened and I was like, oh no, that's right. I forgot. Like, but no, like, to the greater point, it is exciting to me that like, voices are getting a chance now. And I feel like, as much as I hate TikTok, I feel like TikTok is a big part of that. I feel like Instagram's a big part of that. And I feel like, now that we've kind of cut out the middleman, essentially, like voices are being heard. And that's like, that excites me. That excites me more than almost anything going on.
Me too. Me too. I definitely feel like the internet has kind of leveled the playing field. The bubble of like getting an astronomical amount of money for your music, I think has popped. But at the end of the day, I'm not here for an astronomical amount of money. I just want to pay my bills. I want to have a good time. I don't want to be like hungry, starving, but I do it because I freaking love it. I feel crazy when I don't have shows. And it's not because like, and there's always that balance, right? I know I'm definitely, as I get older, I'm like, okay, I gotta make sure I'm doing a good amount of ratio of work to play, because I love my work so much, I can get hyper focused and like do too much of it. But I love to do it. I'm not here for any kind of crazy money. And now that we have the internet and we do have these hashtags and we do have access to, unlimited freaking music for $10 a goddamn month, which is a whole nother thing. Like I don't know if I can fight that machine. I don't want to hold back my gift and hold back what I want to give to the world because the machine is broken.
Right. Well, I think one of the other benefits of the pandemic, and one of the things I think you do very well with, and I think a lot of the people who like I enjoy do well with, is that I feel like the listener kind of relationship with music has gotten more personal, and I feel like fans of musicians, while they can't like put us all in limos or whatnot, right? But like the support, even not just financially, but just the support from fans and from people who enjoy the kind of stuff that people are creating and stuff like that, I feel like is so much stronger than it used to be.
Yes, I absolutely agree. I feel like when I was making hip hop, we had like a lot of young fans, and I think that music that we were creating was super popular. But when I kind of like branched off and started doing like this more vulnerable, like really talking about things that were super personal to myself, and especially after the pandemic where people like really missed, they were like, whoa, they wanted something deeper. They wanted something of more substance. I feel like I'm having the best time in my music career because I feel like I can be my true authentic self now.
Yeah, it's incredible. When you made the decision to make music, 100% and quit the Clark Kent day job, as I always like to call it, what kind of, I guess, was it like rip the Band-Aid off and jump, or was it like, had you like planned, all right, on this date, this is what I have to do to get these things in a row to be able to do it?
It's a funny story. So I have been slowly moving towards this goal for a while. And it was never like I have to do it. It was just like, it'd be cool. And here's a really logical way. Now, just a little bit of backstory. I have experienced homelessness before. My mother was a single mother for a very, very long time. I grew up on Section 8. Just like had a hard time, food scarcity. So I always promised myself when I left my mother's home that I was never going to be homeless and I was never going to be hungry. So I've always been like, if I got to have a day job, I got to have a day job because I ain't going to be out in these streets. I won't do it. But I was, had made my way up to Philadelphia, and I was working in a cafe called Bison Coffee, or Bison Cafe, right in Center City. And I was, at this point in my life, I was only working like 3 days out of the week. And I was like, okay, all right. Every year I would be like, I'd get a new job and be like, all right, I can only work this amount of days. I can only work this amount of days. And people were like, okay, cool, cool, cool. And then I was working 3 days a week, and I was like, all right, I'm getting pretty close to no days out of the week. And then I was starting to realize that I was missing emails. I was missing out on opportunities because I had this job. And I think it's starting to get chilly. It's starting to come into fall. And I had a customer come in, and my customers, you work at a cafe, you talk. They're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm a musician. Everybody knows I'm a musician. They ask me how my music's going. They ask me how tour is when I'm going for a bit and I come back. And this one particular lady who would come in, I really enjoyed her. And she said, I can't believe you're still here. One day you're going to ride in, because I was riding a little electric scooter at the time. And I'd ride my scooter from South Philly up to the cafe. I take 16th Street right on up. And she said, one day you're going to come in and you're going to be too cold. And it was funny because that morning I had rode my scooter into work and I was like, dang, it's cold. And she walked out and I texted my boss and I said, hey, man, it's been a good couple years, but I think I'm going to go ahead and do the music thing.
That's awesome. Do you still have contact with her? Because you should. I bet she would love to hear that story.
I bet she would. She's on my email list and she follows me on Instagram. But you're right. I need to get her some free tickets in so I can tell her that story right to her face.
Yeah, you just needed her little tiny nudge. That's
it. It was the same day. I was like, dang, she right. Let me go ahead and text the school.
So last year you went down to South by Southwest, which was huge, right? And then how did this Willie Nelson thing come about?
So South by Southwest was something that I applied for early, and then I got it, and then I had put a single out through Don Giovanni Records. Shout out to Don Giovanni. And then they put me on their showcase, so that worked out perfect. And then Holly from the Black Opry randomly hit me up and was like, we're playing Willie Nelson's Ranch. And it just happened to be the same week at South by Southwest. So and we were texting earlier and I said, I'm usually tend to be right where I need to be all the time. Like I just like something about me and the universe. We're like right here. So that worked out perfect. And both experiences were phenomenal. I will say South by Southwest is definitely for anyone who's interested in it and like wants to go, definitely check out the list of press. Because they send you like a list of press who's going to be there, and send those people your schedule because there's so much music that's happening. And if you really want to be, it's fun to go down there just to play. But I'm in my 30s now. So if I'm doing something, I'm coming out the house. It's going to be something. So yeah, find your press list, let them know what your schedule is. Find the stuff that you want to do and make sure you have a nice little schedule so you can meet all the people that you want to meet because everybody's all over the place. It really is such a crazy free for all. And there's so much good music down there too. I'm a big Ron Gallo fan and he's in Philadelphia and I didn't see him until we were in South by Southwest, but I made sure because we had been booking and at the same time a lot, you know how it is.
Yeah.
So I hadn't had a chance to catch him, but we were both at South by Southwest and I got a chance to meet him and see him perform. And it was lovely. And I also met, some people who are, PR agents, different press agencies. And that stuff is really good especially if you're doing independent and you don't want to sign to a label. I will say that there are certain people that you can hire that can really help you kind of get ahead of the release because everybody's putting out music now. So and there's only but so much they can listen to at a time. So yeah, stuff like that. Just meeting the right people. Willie Nelson's Ranch was magic. That's that guy's so cool. I didn't actually get a chance to meet him. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Texas was gonna be a lot hotter than it was. It was very cold.
Really?
And it was cold that night. So I didn't get a chance to meet him, unfortunately. But his ranch is absolutely phenomenal. It's magic. The crowd of people that come out there are like a really cool mix of country liberals and I'm like, that's it for me right there. I love a good country liberal. So yeah, it's crazy. Crazy stuff. Yeah.
It's the absolute best. Yeah. So watch this awesome segue. Willie was just in town, finally back on the road again for the July 4th for the Outlaw Music Festival. And then speaking of festivals, Sweet Juice was just this weekend, which is the festival you helped co-create. Tell everybody a little bit about Sweet Juice. Man, I'm still riding that high, if I'm being honest. I love to say that Sweet Juice really proved to me that if you have the right people with the right intentions, absolutely anything in the world is possible. And it just was I think originally it was 8 of us and we were a bunch of buddies
that were all playing a show on the same night. It was me, Emo Space Bird, and Just Mad Nice at the time. Now they go under the name Sauvé. We were playing a gig over at the Dolphin, and then our friends, the Lunar Year, Shona and Mel, who play under Popcorn Daddy, and then Reese Florence were playing at. Hold up, don't get me lying. The venue has since shut down, which happens, but I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry. We'll put it in there somewhere. But we were all playing. We wanted to see each other, so somebody joked around, we should just throw a festival. And then we all got in a group chat, and we were like, wouldn't it be crazy if we threw a festival? And then it's just, well, who do you know that could do this? Who do you know that could do this? Who do you know that could do this? And through our network and our resources, we were able to put together a festival, like a whole big music festival. And last Saturday was our third year. It was a new location. It started at Rigby Mansion, which is a big art house collective. And then last year was our first year at Arboretum in Germantown. Just like a 5 or 6 minute drive down the street from Rigby Mansion. And I think we had maybe like 200 some people. But what I love about it is it's just four homies. There's four of us now. It's like everybody, you do what you can, and it is a collective, but there's like four of us that really get down. Shona Carr, Mel Harris, Katie Hackett from the Lunar Year, and then me and myself. So we really like tackle it. We go head on into it. But yeah, it's just four homies using our resources and chatting with people to see how we can like bring everyone together. And the festival, really highlights like POC, femme, queer artists, a lot of people who get overlooked at a lot of these bigger festivals. Like we have a festival specifically for that.
It's awesome. And like watching it kind of, just continue to blossom into just this beautiful day with like awesome art installations and all. I'm just mad that like this is now, I think, the second year in a row that I've had a gig the same day that you guys have done this. So it's
listen, Dan from 25 o'clock finally made it. This was his first one. He was like, I seen him in line. We were in line getting Thai food, and I was like, "Yo, baby!" He was like, "Yo, I made it." So we'll be around. We'll be back.
It'll happen. I will make it. What? I feel like next year I should just because I think I booked after you guys had booked, but I need money. You know what I mean?
We got to do it. We still until we can demolish the system, until we can break the machine. We have to make a little cash, baby.
That's right. I was by the end of the night, I was playing to a completely empty room, and I was just like, "Hey, I'm still getting paid." That's all I had to just keep telling myself. Getting paid. Still getting paid. So also on the festival tip, you just played Sing Us Home, and right before you released the single Leave a Light On, and then the video came out right after Sing Us Home. What was that whole experience like? Because Dave puts on like what I think is the perfect size festival. Like I don't want a festival much bigger than that, and like, it's great. Like
yes, I thought that too. And honestly, I hadn't said that. I hadn't put that into words yet, but it's like a perfect size. I'm not like running around sweating all day. It did rain that day, but it was like, I don't know, the vibes were so good that I don't know, it was lovely. It was lovely. But yeah, Leave a Light On has been one of my like closers. It's like my last song I usually play during the set. And I feel like with songs like that, everybody loves that song so much. It's like you have such anxiety about recording it. And I was like, you know what? I just got to go ahead and get it. The people want it. People would ask me, like, when are you putting that song out? So I was like, all right, let me go ahead. It's the first that I have been recording, first release that I've been recording with my buddy Eric Kramer. He's a Germantown cat. We met in like backstage in like Southern Delaware. He was playing for somebody else. I was playing Hoochie Coochie. He was like, you should come up to Philly, and like your band should come up to Philly. So we've been friends for a long time, and it's just like perfect that finally we're creating music together and touring together. We're doing a lot of gigging and stuff. But we have all of our buddies are on it. Stace, like so many musicians from so many good bands in Philadelphia. Stacy Fink from the Side Chicks does the saxophone solo in that song, and I absolutely love that saxophone solo. We have Keaton Tandy is playing the keys and the organ on that, and they're releasing a lot of music. And if you're like a musician in the city of Philadelphia, I know these names are like, oh snap, Yeah, and then I have Alex Clayton on drums. He's been drumming for me for a bit. He's drumming for a lot of people, including the other princess of Delaware, Olivia Rubini. He just was on the last season of The Voice and killed it. Did a good job. Didn't win, but she's a winner in my eyes. She's a
Hell
winner.
yeah.
Anytime Delaware gets on TV, I'm always like, let's go Delaware. And Pillow Princess, which is, DIY, underground, like cool Philly. He's drumming for them. And then, of course, Eric Kramer on bass. So we recorded the music. I loved it. I was like, nice. Send it to Uncle Bruce. Uncle Bruce, I always send him my music. I'm like, what you think? He's like, girl, if you don't release that thing. We put it out. And then I was going on tour because I had a proximity clause. And I hate those, but you got to respect it. Somebody hires you. They say, no, please don't perform here. I'm like, all right, because I know that the opportunity is going to be good. So I ended up going on tour with this gentleman, William Elliott Whitmore, through the Midwest. It was my first Midwest tour. His fans were lovely. Every show was like packed, sold out of merchandise. And as I'm touring, I'm touring, it's a solo tour. I was like, I'll just maybe take some footage, on my phone. So the whole the music video is just me and then my little guy hanging out, LB, little bird, and the first line of the song is "Hey Little Bird." So I just put it all together in a little compilation and put it out. Everybody loves content. Music videos are kind of like, I don't want to spend a big ton because people everything moves so quickly all the time. But I feel like this was a really cool kind of like way for you to see what honestly life on the road is like. And then it all ends at Sing Us Home, which I think is perfect because, I'm home, baby, back in Philadelphia.
It's absolutely incredible. Like not just the video, but the song. Like it perfectly captures, and this is something that I long for in music. It's so joyful. Like that you can't hear it and not smile. Like it's just pure joy. Like I was just listening to it on my ride home from work today when I was doing all my prep and stuff like that. And like I'm just sitting there. The sun's out. The fucking song's just so good. It's a perfect soundtrack for a summer jam. Like a summer Jawn, if you will.
Let's go, baby. Let's go with the branding, okay?
Yeah, you got to stay on brand. But no, I absolutely love it. So are you working on an EP or an album currently?
No, man, baby, I'm 33 years old. I better go ahead and get these albums out. You know what I'm saying? Like some of my peers and stuff. And it's not a competition. It's just like I feel like a confidence thing. Whereas I've talked a lot about how much I love to perform. I love performing, but getting in the studio for me has always been sometimes can be anxiety inducing. I know that my live performance is really fun and I know how to get people in that way, but sometimes I think, and even just talking to you, maybe I'm kind of talking through it right now, like having a little therapy, is I think I get nervous that it won't be as fun or I won't have as much of an impact. Which I think, sometimes you can lose that in recordings. Because I know I've listened to people recording, their recordings and then gone to see them live and the song is like completely different. So I feel like I have a little bit of anxiety around that. But I'm recording with some amazing people and I love my friends. Like everyone that I play with, they're like, I technically don't have like a band. Like Suge Daniels is a solo project, but like I have a band. I got the band. They're so much fun to work with. So I think this round of recording, a big reason why I was like, yeah, let me do an album was like, I just have the support. I have the people that like, they're not looking for $1 million. They're not like, just trying to, are they session players? Yes, but they're more excited about just creating music all together than they are like, Suge, you got to give us all this money. Because listen, I ain't got it.
Yeah.
Not right now, one day,
right.
if the Lord sees so fit to bless me with $1 bajillion. But until then, I just love to do it. And the people that I work with, they love to do it too. So, we work something out. I pay them what I can and everybody seems to be happy. So I'm excited about that.
It's incredible, and you can hear it in the music too. Like it translates through. Like you can hear the love and just like I said, the joy. Like you can hear that it's not a job, it's not a chore. Like this is what you are put here to do, man. Like
I love it. Thank you, baby.
At this time, you want to go through the Jawntlet questionnaire? It's how I close all of my interviews.
Let's go through the Jawntlet, baby.
All right, it's. I see it. It starts with the one-hit wonders. This is just in name only. First one, Billy Joel or Elton John? Who do you prefer?
Elton John, because the showmanship is just mwah.
Yes, absolutely. Debbie Harry or Joan Jett?
Joan Jett, I seen her. She opened for Alanis Morissette, and I went to go see her when she came to New Jersey. And I just want to I want to hang out with Joan Jett. I think that's the big thing is she just seems so cool. What is she, like 70? I think she's 65. We looked it up. Wow. Amazing.
It's incredible. Have you ever seen the movie Light of Day that she did with Michael J. Fox?
No, but I'm writing it down because I want to see it.
Yes, it's phenomenal, and it's been my thing this year. I just rewatched it back in January, and I bring it up all the time now because so her and Michael J. Fox, they play brother and sister, and they're in a band together, and in Cleveland, Ohio. And I want someone to remake this film, but I want it to star Billie Eilish and Phineas.
Ooh, very cool.
Yeah, I should just pitch it to him.
Just pitch it to him, man. I feel like people want to see Billie do more weird stuff.
Yeah, and that would be the weirdest.
That'd be weird.
That would definitely be weird. Aretha Franklin or Tina Turner?
All right, I'm not gonna lie. I got a beef with you for even putting this on me. Why you gonna make me pick between my sisters, bro?
It's not my fault. It was Beyonce's fault because this question comes from before either of them had passed. Beyonce had called Tina the Queen at a Grammys, and Aretha got in her feelings about it. But it's like Queen of Rock and Roll and the Queen of Soul. It's two different things. But she got upset about it.
They're two different queens. I feel like I would have to say, I don't know. Can we come back to it? Because both of them are so important to not even just music, but I feel like the story of America.
Yes.
like what both of them were able to overcome during the times that they were alive, especially in their youth, and to still be such iconic figures until their dying days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and just the different the different. I don't want to steal a phrase from Taylor Swift, but the different eras, just the constant changing of who they are without losing who they are is incredible.
Yes, and I feel like I just can't think of Tina Turner without thinking of all that she went through. And then later in life, she had a lot of Buddhist chants for children, and she just was a phenomenal human. And no disrespect to Aretha Franklin, because sis does something that I don't care who you are, I don't care what language you speak. When Aretha Franklin starts to sing, you feel it throughout you. But just the person that Tina Turner was, I think, for me, makes me very weepy eyed.
Yes. Definitely, 100%. Good answer. It's a good answer. You there's no wrong answer.
Punch you in the gut next time I see you for making me do that.
But also, I'm leading with it. I'm telling everybody you made your choice, and now you have to live with it. No, I'm just kidding. The next one, Nirvana or Pearl Jam?
Nirvana, because I feel like all the people in Nirvana were such sweetie pies.
It's true.
Anytime I see Dave Grohl pop up on my feed, I'm just and I don't feel that way about a lot of super straight older white guys, but whenever I see Dave Grohl, makes my day.
I love it. Janis Joplin or Stevie Nicks?
I think Stevie Nicks, because she was really able to just be the baddest of the baddest in all that chaos. Still was able to make all that music, and she just timeless hits, you know?
Definitely. The big cliche, Beatles or the Stones?
I feel like the Beatles make phenomenal music, but I just love the camaraderie that the Stones have. I love that they've been doing it for so long, and just the fact that they don't have to perform, but they love it so much, so that resonates a lot with me. So I have to say the Stones.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel the same exact way. People have heard me say this 50 billion times, but they feel like a band to me. They feel like a band of brothers, and that sticks. Yeah, exactly.
And they're still putting out music, and the music is good, bro.
For sure.
It doesn't suck.
That's it. It's right. I loved it. That last album they put out, I tell Bruce all the time, I'm still shocked that it made my top 30 of the year.
Me too. I was prepared for it to be really bad, but it was good.
It was great. The last one of the one-hit wonders, Bohemian Rhapsody or Stairway to Heaven?
I feel like Bohemian Rhapsody for me, because it just I heard it in what's that movie they were in the car?
Wayne's World. Yeah.
Wayne's World. I seen it in Wayne's World, and it just was like such an iconic scene. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I didn't know who Queen was. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew that something, I was witnessing something very important.
Yeah. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
The next section is the top 10 countdown. Of course, in this, we use Jawn to be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be music. It can be anything you want. So the first one, number one, what was your first Jawn? What was the first thing you were obsessed with when you were a kid?
Writing.
Yeah?
I loved writing. As soon as I could figure out how to write, that's like all I did. Like I said, I still have a lot of my notebooks. When I first started writing, there were a lot of like stories. They would just be like stories about anything, like my cat or just like the mailman or just like random stuff. But I think I've always been very interested in like experience.
Yeah. Do you still write any kind of narrative kind of thing or?
I journal almost every day. Now my journaling is a little like abstract. I do this like just because I heard Nikola Tesla did it, and I'm a big Nikola Tesla fan. He did like this 3-6-9 journaling. So it's like you write kind of like this thing that you want to see happen in your life. You write it 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and then 9 times at night. And then it's supposed to happen. It works pretty well.
That's phenomenal. I love that. I started journaling sometime late last year, and I used to journal at night before I go to bed, and I've been experiencing really bad insomnia for like the past 6 months, so I haven't been going to bed, so I haven't been journaling, but maybe if I journal, it'll put me to sleep, but
maybe.
I'll try it. I don't know. It's the hell that is my life. Number 2, what is your current Jawn? What are you into right now?
Meditation.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been meditating for probably the last like 6 or 7 years, but I'm about to finish up this book from Dr. Joe Dispenza called You Are the Placebo. And he teaches like a different type of meditation technique that I feel like I kind of naturally was moving towards. So it's really cool to see it like explained in this book, because he takes a lot of like kind of like metaphysical stuff, but then he also has like a lot of science to why it works and what it does. And that's been insane and like definitely way too much to get into. But if anybody is like out there who's ever thought about meditation, there's all different kinds of ways to do it. And all of them are good for you. I think just anytime you can just sit with your mind and like get into your own, in your own groove. Because the world is chaotic. It's not our fault. We're living in something that we did not create,
Yeah. You know what? I was talking to somebody about this very recently, that like the world is chaotic, but like the world's always been chaotic. I think we just we cover it more. Which I think is the issue, like okay, the things that are going on are bad and we do need to be on top of them. But but a lot of people are kind of playing those for the clicks and making the people, as anxious as we all are now. Like, so.
Yeah, it's crazy that we have access to every war that's happening all at once.
Yeah.
And I think that it's very important to be empathetic. Like you could definitely feel it, like, but you also have to take care of yourself, because you cannot show up for the world in the way that you need to if you are a horrible, anxious, depressed mess. You just cannot. So you have to take care of yourself. And I think meditation is a really easy and completely free way for us to find our center and our grounding, to be able to show up better for ourselves and our friends and our family and our community.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, like, and very centering. I've often always thought that like we tend to want to always think globally and stuff, but if we just kind of focus on self and those around us, and we kind of do the butterfly effect, and we start to affect the things around us that start to affect the things around them, and then the things around them. That's I'm gonna make that change once in my life. You know what I mean? Like, starting with the man in the mirror.
That's right, baby.
Number 3, what was your first concert? What was the first live show you saw?
It's funny that you even had said to think globally, act, you got to act locally, because it was Go-Go Bordello.
Oh, no way.
I seen Go-Go Bordello in New Jersey when I was about 21, and I had been listening to their music, and it was like this, this really cool like punk, but it was like also had like great rhythm, it was like, because I think I had, growing up in any small town, there's always like an underground punk scene, and I think punk music is wonderful, but like also I want to dance really bad. Always I want to dance, and Go-Go Bordello kind of like bridged,
put it together.
Yeah, they put them together for me. So I love Gogo Bordello to this day. They're coming to Delaware, which is amazing. I feel like it's a date that I'm like, I could put a show there for myself, but also I think to see Gogo Bordello again as like an older adult would be really, really lovely. But yeah, I love music that's like that can like put the idea of like change and peace and like all these big ideas in your face, but also like make you dance. So
Yeah.
Gogo Bordello, yeah.
Yeah, you need you need the sugar with the medicine.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I love it. Number 4, what was your last concert? What was the last live show you saw?
Alanis Morissette.
Oh, that's right. You just yes, that's
Yes.
I was so bummed. We wanted to go to that, and then it sold out so quickly, and then we didn't
Oh
make
my
it.
God. I had an absolute blast. It was so good. I mean, like she's just got so many hits. She's got so many bops. Her band was rocking. And like, yeah, she still has a lot of energy. She was like moving around all night and it was really lovely. Her voice is phenomenal. Her voice is amazing. Yeah, and I just feel like as a female singer-songwriter, it just was kind of like it's like an education for myself, you know?
Definitely. You know, and you just put something in my head that I'm going to have to, after this, write down that I think that's going to be my old pick for my Too Old, Too New with Bruce. Have you ever heard the Alanis song? It's from I'm pretty sure it was in the soundtrack to Dogma. I don't know if it's on anything else, but it's called Still. And she writes it from the perspective of God. And the chorus it ends with, and I love you still. Like, it's all about all the war and stuff like that. It's like, I see you amidst all this chaos and stuff like that. And I love you still. And it gives me goddamn chills to hear.
I'm writing that down because it's funny. The first time I ever seen Alanis Morissette was in Dogma, and she played God. And I was like, oh, that only makes sense that God would be a woman. And I remember I never thought about that. I grew up in a very like, strict Christian household where, God was a man with a beard. And to see that be God and not even know who it was, and it ends up being this like super prolific songwriter is phenomenal. So no, I've never heard that, but I will before I go to bed tonight.
It's awesome. There it is. I'm paying it forward.
Yeah.
Number 5. What was your favorite concert? Best live show you ever saw?
The best live show I ever saw was Tedeschi Trucks Band played Exponential. They like headlined the Exponential Fest the year that I played with my band Hoochie Coochie, and I had only kind of just discovered who they were. And then, if you play Exponential, then you get to go for the rest of the weekend and enjoy. And we've seen a lot of people that weekend, but that band in particular blew me away. It was like, once again, I love live performance. And that band is humongous. And every person in that band is a star.
Yeah.
Every single person in that band was a star. I remember I looked over, my band were all there. We're having a great time. We're just like, out of our minds, because we also play soul music, and they have a lot of like soul influence. I think they're from I know they're from the South. I think they're from Florida, actually. I don't know. Either way, I remember looking over and my piano player Michael was like just like sobbing because it just was like, and you can tell they love each other. They're on stage. You could just tell that the love is there. It's this big band, but they still have this like, it has this like little feel to it. So I don't know. But I haven't to this day had anything inspire me and affect me in that way.
It's beautiful. I love it. Yeah, they're fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Number 6, who have you never seen live that you wish you would have? They can be living or dead.
Well, I think I'm going to see them. It's like Michael Kiwanuke and Brittany Howard are coming to play Philadelphia in September. And I feel like they're both, even before, them coming to play, they both have been people that I will put on, like when I'm getting ready for a show, I'll put on live performances by them because like, even through a screen and like my little speakers in my room, I feel the presence of something bigger, like something really divine. And I feel like when I have a performance, that's the thing I'm trying to channel. Like I just feel like I'm right there. It feels like it takes me out of time and space. And if you can do that for people, that's an elevation of like frequency, So those two, and I'm excited to say I will be seeing them in September.
That's awesome. I love to hear it. Like Brittany Howard, to me, is one of those underrated people who is just so versatile and like can just swim through genre and song type and just excel at all of it. And then did a dance album. Like, come on.
Yes, I was going to say the dance album was phenomenal. Like, I was like, dang. And like, especially when you like love artists like that. And I'm not saying like anybody can do it. But when I listen to her music and I listen through her catalog, I'm like, oh, just do whatever you want.
Yes.
Just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, you listen through her music and there's just no rules. She just does whatever she wants. And she makes great music. And that is the reason why she's able to continue. You know, she's got a good team of people around her, for sure, I'm sure. But yeah, just do what you want.
It's so true. So incredibly true. Number 7, name an unappreciated Jawn, something you wish had more attention to it.
The Lunar Year is
Hell
a band from...
fucking yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Hell yes.
Yo, just to be this person's friend, you know, because we do Sweet Juice together. And we're also like, we'll be like, you know, checking in on each other. Like, how you doing? I'm in the studio. I'm in the studio. Like, me too, writing songs and putting stuff out. And like, I get to hear like little bits and clips sometimes. And like, it's to see them live. The whole band is so phenomenal. The songwriting, the performance. I mean, it's just like, I feel like when they catch on, whatever way that is, because, you know, there's always a moment. I'm just going to be like, I'm going to cry because I feel like I'm never gonna. They're just so good in every sense of the word. It's phenomenal.
Hell yeah. Perfect answer. I love that. Number 8, name your favorite album.
Janelle Monáe's The Electric Lady from 2013. That album, I think for me, as a Black woman, as a queer woman, because I feel like if you're a Black queer woman and you were listening to her before, you already knew what time it was. You was like, this is gay.
Yeah.
There's some gay stuff afoot. But yeah, she also, you know, Janelle Monáe breaks a lot of rules in their music and makes incredible music. And I think that I was listening and I was like, wait a minute, why didn't anybody tell me I can make music like this? Because 2013, I'm like, you know, I'm about 23. So I'm still, you know, I'm kind of coming out of the rap and about to get into like making like blues, hip hop. You know, I'm about to get into electric. I'm about to get into electric guitars and like having that stuff. And I feel like that album was a really big catalyst for me because I was like, oh, I can do anything I want to do. You know, just like Brittany Howard. It was just, and I think, yeah, Alabama Shakes was around this time too. So yeah, these just seeing images like me and hearing music that resonated with me, but 2 guitars and drums is the reason why we're talking today.
Yeah, hell yeah. You know, it goes back to what we were talking about with the Black Opry, man. It's like people get really weird about representation. And by people, I just mean like straight white guys really get upset about representation and stuff like that. But it is so powerful to be able to see something like I talked to Grace Vonderkoon, who told me that she was inspired to start playing. Oh, more Delaware. That's right. But she was inspired to start playing by watching Josie and the Pussycats because she didn't know girls could play guitars. I mean, like little things that seem silly to a lot of people are so important if it's just like, oh, I see myself. That gives me permission to do it. I talked to the guys from, I don't know if you know the band Spy Mob, but they were the backing band for NERD, the early NERD stuff. And a bunch of them still play with Pharrell. And I was talking about like the permission structure that NERD created for like, you know, nerdy Black kids who were like, oh, I'm allowed to be a fucking skateboarder? Like, hell yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I was just going up the stairs the other day and singing like, move. She wants to move.
Yes.
Because they hawking her. They guarding her. But yes, that type of stuff is so important. Yeah, and just even speaking on Grace, when I was living in Southern Delaware and I was doing my rap thing, Grace was in a band with my friend, and I came up and Grace was like playing guitar, they were playing drums, and I was like, girls in a band, and they were the headlining band, and everybody went crazy for them. So just to see them just doing that, like it's not even on like a big humongous, it doesn't always have to be on a big humongous like level. It can just be like walking into the local dive bar and seeing somebody who's like playing a song or like that looks like you, that makes you feel something. That's why I'm telling people, I'm like, yo, go share your art because you don't know who needs it.
It's true. I mean, like, and like, I like for me, like, you know, this is actually why I asked you about the ukulele hip hop thing, is because I don't know if you know this or not, but my old music career, I was a bit of a acoustic hip hop guy. That was like my whole thing.
Ooh, I knew you was a rapper. I know you are a rapper.
Well, I pretend. Let's not get carried away. But for me, like coming up in high school, like I played guitar, but I also loved hip hop, and I was just like, I don't know how to like do anything with that, you know. And then G Love hit the scene, and I was like, wait a minute, you can do both? Like, because I thought it was like, do I want to do this or do I want to do this? And then like I heard cold beverages and I was like, oh shit, you can do both. Of course you can. Like, and then it was, it was off. Like all it takes is that one time when you go, oh, I didn't know we could do that. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Like,
Exactly. I feel like I probably said that a couple times in this interview. Sometimes you just need to see a thing. And I wish humans weren't like that. I wish I had a bit more of, but it's all right. Cause it inspires me to continue doing the thing that I'm doing. Cause maybe I'm going to be at like a summer concert series or I'm playing a festival, or I'm doing something and some little black girl's like, oh, okay. No,
For sure. And would not surprise me if it hasn't already happened. Like for sure. Absolutely. Number 9, name an artist whose output you'll consume anything they release.
I know I keep doing Philly musicians, but it's just the way it is. Brittany Ann Trambow.
Fuck yes. Like you are just full of like hipping all of the people that I love in this area.
Bro, listen, I moved to this city for a reason, okay? This city has phenomenal music, and Brittany Ann Trambow is one of my favorite singer-songwriters. They're phenomenal to watch too, but like they put out a song and every line hits. Every line absolutely hits. So,
yes, absolutely. Fantastic answer. The 10th and final question of the Jauntlet. What is your favorite Jawn of all time? Again, doesn't have to be music. It can be anything you want it to be.
My favorite Jawn of all time. I feel like I'm going to look at something and be like, lamp. My favorite Jawn of all time, honestly, is human connection. I love talking to people. I love hearing people's stories. Whether it's like musically or just like traveling on a train and then somebody sees my ukulele and then they start a conversation. I think that is the stuff of like, that is the thing that keeps life. Mwah. It's these like little conversations with random people that I feel like, I don't know, that's the reason why I'm able to keep hope that we're going to be okay, is because I experienced these situations. I think like one day I'll have a car. I haven't had a car, right, since I moved to Philadelphia. But the amount of like human interaction that you have, even if it's just like walking next to people, right? This the L was running late, and then all of a sudden the L was like, it was like only doing one track. So everybody on one side had to go to the other side. And me and this guy turned around and we just helped this woman get her baby carriage like up the thing, and we just put it down. And it's just stuff like that feels so good to me. That is, none of us said anything. We just did it. We put it down and then we walked away. And stuff like that, just, I don't know. That's the stuff. That's it.
That is it. Like, my wife and I were just talking about this yesterday. Like, I don't know if you remember that day or that week or month that back in, I want to say 2014, I think it was exactly 10 years ago, possibly this week even, that Pokemon Go came out. And like just how stupid it was that every single person was out in the park walking around and it was like, hey, did you get anything over there? No. Did you find? Oh, I saw there's a, like all these dumb, like the dumbest thing in the world. But like it's it's shared experience. Like I think shared experience is just such a beautiful thing, untapped thing that like that we don't lean into. And it doesn't have to be some grand thing. It doesn't have to be a pandemic. It doesn't have to be a tornado or a flood. It can be something as small, like you said, a track change. You know what I mean? Like it's just this. It's just looking at somebody else and going, "Oh, you're going through exactly what I'm going through in this moment."
Yes.
And it it's like we talked about with the microcosm and the starting with self and expanding outward. Like if you can see it in those little moments, then you can start to see it in those big moments, and then you can start to empathize and you can start to connect. And wow.
Absolutely.
Like that's it. That's
it. What's my Jawn? Being alive with other humans on this earth.
That's right. Most of them, at least 53% of them or so.
Man, I tell you what, most of them for sure. But I got patience. I do. I have patience for everybody. I try my best.
Sure.
I really, really try my best, because I feel like the love did not create the thing that we want to change. But I do think that love can change the thing that we want to change.
Hell yes.
That's I truly believe that with all of my heart and soul, because I've witnessed it in my day-to-day and in my own life. So
yeah. So Johnny Brenda's is the 18th. Is that right? Do I have that date right?
Yeah, Johnny. Yes. I forgot what we was even.
That's yeah. Oh, for sure. Right.
We were just hanging out, baby.
Yeah, so this is going to come out the Monday before. So, guys, tickets are still available, right? If anybody wants to go to that,
yeah, please. Okay. So the first time I ever went to Johnny Brenda's, I seen the Screaming Females, which is Marissa Paternoster, and she just
played,
just headlined, and I got a chance to hang out with her and talk to her about that. She literally checked her phone and said, "Damn it, I'm going to be in New York." So I was like, "Oh man, I would have got you in." But yeah, it was the first time I ever, and I was coming from Delaware. I'm sorry, I'm in West Philadelphia. You know, the fireworks are going crazy. But yeah, so I went to Johnny Brenda's. I seen her, and I was like, "This venue is amazing. I want to play this venue." I've been living in Philadelphia for about 2 years, and finally, I got a show there, and I'm headlining. I'm playing with Jesse De Silva, coming up from Nashville, and Mandy Valentine, another local amazing Americana singer-songwriter. It's gonna be beautiful, baby. It's gonna be a good time. Just like when there's like full circle moments like that, the energy is always like through the roof.
Yeah. And like, it's how I started things off, but these are the things that when I see like you achieving things that you've kind of put out there, things that you've wanted to achieve, like it touches my soul, man. Like I love to see it. I love it. Like I absolutely love it. And I know it sounds goofy, but like, cause we've met in person, twice, you know what I mean? But like,
that's
still.
Okay. Listen, I've been cheering for people from afar too. Sometimes you catch a vibe, you get an energy, and you're like, that's what we need. I need this person to succeed because I know that they're going to bring people up with them. They're going to inspire more people, and they're going to do good. They're going to do good.
And that's really what it is, because like you are one of the most positive people, at least fronting. You don't have to be positive. You can keep it a secret if you are harboring some deep dark demons there. But you're one of the most positive people that I've ever met, and it's absolutely addicting and contagious. And I'm so happy for all your successes and all the more coming, because I know so much more is coming. And I'm just so happy we finally got to chat.
Yes. I'm sorry it took so long, baby. Listen, you was on my radar. Sometimes we get a little busy. Things always happen when they're supposed to happen. And I appreciate you having me on, man.
My thanks again to Suge for joining me on the show today. That was every bit as wonderful as I imagined it would be. You can catch Suge Daniels and the Sweet Boys this Thursday, July 18th at Johnny Brenda's at 8 p.m. Tickets are still available. And Suge's latest single, Leave a Light On, is available on all major streaming sites. You can find more info about Suge and her upcoming tour dates on her website at SugeDaniels.com. And you can follow her on the socials at SugeDaniels_ on Instagram and Twitter X, and at Suge-Daniels on Facebook. Links to all of those, of course, are as always in the show notes. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to the Yo That's My Jawn podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. And people, it is never too late to get yourself a super awesome Jawn Scout Merit Badge for Citizenship of the World just by rating and reviewing us. Don't forget to visit www.yothat'smyjawn.com for the link tree with links to articles, merchandise, all of the previous episodes of this podcast, guest appearances on other podcasts, and more. And while you are there, please be sure to sign up for our mailing list to get all of the updates delivered straight into your inbox. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YoThat'sMyJawn for updates and live streams. Follow us on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter X at Yo That's My Jawn, and search Yo That's My Jawn on YouTube to find the Yo That's My Jawn YouTube channel. Like and subscribe the heck out of that ish. We want to hear from you. Reach out, and touch some Jawn. All right, peeps. Stay cool. Y'all know the rules. Blue skies. Until next time, everybody.
That's my Jawn. It's a place to go and embrace the pleasure. You taste it, things you don't need to be measured.
Yo, That's My Jawn is a Lonely Monk production. Written and produced by yours truly, Nate Runkle. Theme song by me, under the moniker Nate 3.0. Special thanks to Fox Run Brands, DX Ferris, Andrew Scott, Maggie Poulos, Dan Drago, Natalie Runkle, and the beautifully vibrant and wickedly stunning Katie Daubney. If you or anyone you know has any ideas they would like to share or any guests they would like to hear on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to us at yothat'smyjawn@gmail.com. or hit us up on the socials at Yo That's My Jawn. Until next time, be sure to displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. Tilt your head back and shout to the world, Yo, that's my Jawn.